Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. You can hear me, right? So I think we can start now. So now how many of us are here? 25. Okay, so if you cannot scan, just a minute. Well, while waiting for another 2 or 3 students, let me just add you manually. Attendance list. Okay, anybody else need me to add you manually? Okay, so we can get back to the attendance later on. Okay, so just to let you know, so because we don't have class every time, right? Because sometimes I just give you the links to videos and notes through WhatsApp. So what I do is I have a separate Excel where I key in your attendance manually, right? So maybe on your online learning on your portal, you can see that your attendance is not 100%, even though you attended all the classes and did all the exercises, right? But that's because I just keep it manually. I cannot key in into the portal, right? So for your attendance, what I did, okay, so whenever you completed the in-class exercise, then I will mark in your attendance as attended, right? So the in-class exercise, because usually I would say that, okay, for example, over here on Wednesday, 3rd June, I want you to complete this activity. Once you have completed this activity, that means that you have gone through the slides and also you have gone through the videos. Then only I will mark you as attended. Does it make sense? Okay. So don't worry too much about the attendance, even though on your online learning, it doesn't, or on your portal, it doesn't show 100%. Okay? Right. So, let's see. I want to share, just a minute. This one, okay, assessment. Right, so we need to have a lot of assessment. So for now, what we have done is quiz 1 and assignment 1. Right. So we need to do our quiz 2. So we cannot do quiz 3 yet because we haven't covered topic 7, which is on file. We can do, well, I haven't finished written your assignment 2 yet. That's why I cannot give you the question yet. Right. But this one, make sure that you know that we have all this assessment. So the slides on this one, I have put it on your online learning, so you can look at it as well. So relating to that, sharing that one, I'll go back to Chrome. Okay. So this one. Right. So on your online learning, right at the top, right? So right at the top, so there's this part called quizzes. Let me zoom in a bit. Right, so quiz 1 is done. So quiz 2 and quiz 3, well, the question are there, it's only that it's not open yet. So quiz 2, I plan to do it on 7 June. So this covers only topic 4, inheritance and polymorphism. There are only 10 MCQ questions, 15 minutes. Right, for quiz 2, available 7 June, so you can do it from 1 a.m. until 8:59 p.m. So it's going to be open for the whole day, well, kind of the whole day. So for this one, I still haven't decided yet. Maybe we will not have class on 7 June, but I will confirm it with you so that you can use the class time to do the quiz. And then quiz 3, 5%. So same as before, 10 MCQ question, 15 minutes. It will cover topic 5 and topic 7. So this one, I plan to do it on Sunday, 14 June. So that is the quizzes. So we still have the lab test and also assignments. Okay, a lot to do. But anyway, you don't have to worry too much about it because right now we have finished up until topic 6, which is GUI. And then in the next class, I want you to do file processing, which is topic 7. And then after topic 7, we only have one more topic, which is list. And then supposedly by next week or the week after, we should have covered all the topics. Okay, so you have time to do your assignments, the quizzes, and also the lab test, because we can have those during class time. Okay, I'll remind you about it again when we have the quizzes and also the assignments and stuff. Right? So this is just to let you know what we need to do and what we have. Okay. So do you have any question so far? Is it okay? Okay. Right. So let me see. Assignment. Okay. Just scroll down a bit. Processing. Okay, so for GUI, let's see how many of you have submitted. Okay, 17 of you have submitted. It's loading. Oh, another thing, I have marked your assignment 1. Right? Have you seen it? Do you want to go through the answers for that one? I think that we can go through it on, not today, maybe on Wednesday. Do you want to go through it together or you just want me to record a video of going through it? Which one do you prefer? It's just, well, kind of the same thing. Like I said, we can go through it in the next class. Right. So for today's class, I want to go through exception handling, the past year questions, and also the past year's question for GUI. These two. Oh, yeah. And we went through topic for past year exam questions before the break, right? So I have posted the video of it under topic 4 in case you want to refer to it again, right? So this is the video from our WebEx. So if you want to check your answers again, then you can go through this video. Okay, so this one. So any question in particular, or can I move on to discussing topic 5? Is it topic 5? So when we discuss all these answers, I will upload it on your online learning. Right, so I will put the links over there so that if you want to look at the answers again, then you can refer to it. Zoom in a bit more. Okay. Right. So for this one, for topic 5, right, so let's see the first one. So the first one, it gives you this int array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you have your system.out.println value and then array number 6. So it asks you what exception will be thrown when following the code, when the following code fragment is executed. So if you look over here, inside here you only have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You only can access up until the index number 5. Right? When you try to access anything that is outside, that is being covered, then you would get array index out of bound exception. Right? So you can try and run this code as well. So on your NetBeans, you can type this one and then run it. It will give you this array index out of bounds exception. Okay. So number 1 is straightforward. So let's go to number 2. So it asks over here, what will be the output of the program? So let's go through it line by line. So we have our class, we have our method over here, and then we have our main. So from our main, it calls our method. So now we go to this part. So in the method, we have our try, catch, and finally block. So in the try block, first one, we have the system.out.print A. So the output, the first output, it will print out A. So I'll just comment this one. Okay, so we know that it will print out A. And then it calls bat method. So now we go straight to this part. In bat method, we have the object of runtime exception. It creates the exception. So it does not deal with the exception here, but instead it throws it back to whichever method that calls it. It only says that when you run this method, you will have runtime exception. So it passes it back to the method that calls it, which is this method. And then we know that the exception is called runtime exception. We need to catch it. So we have these two exceptions, and then the one that is the same as this one would be the first one. So it will print out the value C. So runtime, okay. So the second output, it will print out C. I got that one, yeah, okay. And then after it has catch it, whenever it catch it just skip A, C, yeah. It skips whatever that you have in your try. Right? It does not print out B. Once it has catch it, and then it will go straight away to your finally block. Right? So finally block, you are printing F. So it will print out F. And then this one, system.out.print, this G is outside the try, catch, and finally block. So it will print out G as well. Right? So the output of this program, it will print out A, C, F, G. Is it okay? Or do you want me to repeat this one again? How, which line it reads and then how it goes back to the method and stuff? Or is it clear for this one? Okay. So you can try and run this code. It should run okay for this one. Okay. Right. So let's go to the next question. Okay. This one. So we have the incomplete fragment of code, and then it asks you to fill the blanks with two if statements. So each can throw an exception object if the value of a variable named m is less than 0. That is for the first if statement. The second if statement if it's greater than 100. Right, so the message that will be displayed, we have error -1 is a negative value and error 101 is too large. Right, so this -1 and this 100 is whatever the user enter. So that refers to m. Right, so you don't have to write -1 and also 101. That is being represented by this variable m. Okay. So you have over there int m equal to some value, so that is your -1 and also 101. Okay, so if you look this one, well, this one is the one that you need to enter. If you look at it, let's look at the catch block first. So catch, it will catch the exception, which is the general exception. So it covers all types of exception. And then over here, it prints out error and then e-message. That means that, wait, let's put this one. Yeah. So that means that this error is printing out this part. And then this e.get message should print out this part. Okay. So, let's see what does it say. So we have our try block. So the first one, we have the first if m is less than 0. So you can write it straight away. And because we are inside our try block, we will need to throw the new exception, right? So you would throw new exception because over here, it will catch exception. So that's why over here is exception. If say that over here it's catching arithmetic exception, then only you would have over here throw new arithmetic exception. Right? So it needs to be the same thing. Okay, so e.get message, this will print out whatever message that you write inside the object of your exception over here. So over here, if you write, okay, m plus with, and then you would write is a negative number. So this e.get message, it will print out, say that your m is -1, it will print out -1 is a negative value. So that is the use of this e.get message. Whenever you create the object of your new exception, whatever string that you write inside of it, that is your e.get message. Okay. So that is for the first one. So the second one, if m is greater than 100, so it should print out is too large. So similar as before, you can have your else. It should still work even if you don't have your else, right? Because in the question, it just says that you need to write two if statements. So if you write if m is larger than 100, then same as before, throw new exceptions, and then you would write m, and then it is too large. Is it okay for this one? For this one, the message that you want it to show, you can always try and run the code and see what happens. Say that if you leave it as blank, if you write it that way, what would happen? And then if you write some message on it, what happens? I have my NetBeans. Let's just a minute. Let me open NetBeans. Okay, so this one, let me show you because this is based on your notes. GUI, this is exception. Because I know that it can be quite confusing because you have throw, throws, and then try, catch, block. And then you have several catch blocks, and then you can have the finally. I want to show this one. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so this one, just zoom in a bit. Did you try and run the code for this method A, method B, method C, and method D? Because I think that it makes more sense if you try and run this example, because I have given the code as well. And this code are available on your online learning. Have you tried running this one? Because this one covers about your try and catch block, and then it covers when you have throws, and then when you have throw as well. So if you haven't run this code, try and run it. So I'll just show that part. Okay, depends. Wait, how to? I'm trying to zoom in. Not sure how to zoom in. Okay. So this is method D. And this is, wait, how did I zoom in again? Okay. So this is method A. And then I also have method B. Oh wait, yeah, this is method B. I did not open method C. Anyway, so if you run the code, let's see, this one. It shows you this output, right? So if you look over here, this method D exception, this, it shows it over here because in your method D, you have written that whenever this exception happens, this message should be displayed. See that if, okay, let's just change it. I just write example. Save it. So I run again from method A. Now you can see that the message that it displays is example. Right? So when you throw new exception or new arithmetic exception, whatever that you write inside of it, that is the message that will be displayed. Is it clear? Or did I lose you? Is it okay for that one? Okay, I think that there's a delay a bit. Okay, so that is about the message. So another thing that I want to show you is, okay, this one D, it passed back, it's printing out this part, right? So over here, it prints out all this message because we write e.print stack trace. So if we use e.getMessage, which is similar to the question before, if we print out e.getMessage, let me save this one again. If I run this one, so it will just display the message straight away. Right? So if you do it this way, then whoever that runs your program does not know that there have been some exception that happens. It prints out whatever string that you want straight away. So that is the difference between using e.getMessage and also using e.print stack trace. Right, so you can try both of those and see the results of it. Okay, so I'll go back to stop sharing first. Okay, I'm going to reshare again. Okay, this one. Right, so do you have any question for throws that is related to this one? Make sure that you understand it, right? Okay, so if you have question about the throws, then let me know. Well, you can ask in here or you can ask me later on WhatsApp. Okay, so I'll move on to the next question. So we have considered the following Java segment of code. Says it for the first one, it says what is the output if a user inputs a string 5. Okay, so let's go through the code. So it goes through our try. So it takes in the input. So it expects an int, but instead we input a string 5. Right? So when we input a string 5, it will catch that exception. So there's an exception happens, so it does not go through the next line, but instead, after this one, it strips away and try to catch the exception. So what do you think the exception is? When it wants an int, but you enter 5 as a string. What kind of exception? Anyone know what type of exception that is? Okay, so when you input string 5, instead of number 5. So that is, I think it's input mismatch exception. Right? So input mismatch exception, if we look at our catch block over here, we don't have input mismatch exception, right? So it's not arithmetic exception, so it does not go through that part. So it will go through this exception over here because this is the general one, meaning that if it's not arithmetic, then it will go through this general exception. Okay. All right. So it goes through over here. So it will print out an exception occurs. And then after it goes the catch block, it will go through the finally block. So it prints out, okay, sum, if sum less equal to 2, over here, our sum is equal to 10. So it does not go through this if statements, but instead it goes straight away to the final system.out.println and print out the value of the sum. And we did not change the value of the sum, so it will print out 10. Okay. So the output of it is an exception occurs, then sum 10. This one. Right. The second one, it says, what is the output if a user input an integer 0? So going through the code again. So if the user input 0, so this is fine. So we have 0 over here. So it will print out starting. And then it will go through sum equal to sum divide by number. So our sum is 10, number is 0. So it tries to do 10 divided by 0. So can we do 10 divided by 0? No, right? It will give us an arithmetic exception. So because we are catching it over here, so it goes straight away to this catch block. When it goes to this catch block, okay, so sum is equal to sum divided by 10. Arithmetic exception, okay. So our sum, the value of our sum is 10. So it will do 10 divided by 10, which is 1. Wait, exception, yeah. It gives us 1. So after it has go through the catch block, it will go straight away to the finally. So finally, in the if statement, sum if it's less or equal than 2. So currently what we have is sum is equal to 1. 1 is less equal than 2. So it will print out this part. So it will print out our num, which is 0, right? Because we input over here, num is 0. Right? So after it has done this if, it has finished with the finally block, so it will print out the value of the sum. Sum, and then the value of the sum over here is no longer 10, but instead it will print out 100, because in our finally block, we say that sum is equal to 100. So the output would be starting num 0, just this part, and then sum 100. Okay. So let's see what is the next one. So the next one, it asks what is the output if the user inputs an integer 1. So you need to go through the same steps as what I have shown you. Right? And that you should be able to do it. So the output that you should get is starting, stopping, and then sum 10. Right? If you do not get this result, then you can let me know. So if you input an integer 2, you will get this output. Let's see, integer 2. So you just need to go through the codes as what I have shown you. Is it okay for number 4? Or do you want me to repeat any part of it? Okay, so number 4 is fine. Let's look at number 5. Number 5, it says fill in the missing parts with the correct Java codes. Okay, so over here, what you need to look at is, this is given. So it says that lines and then exception. So because it says it will throw this exception, so you would need to catch this type of exception. So over here you have your try and then catch. What you need to catch the exception. So that's why you write your exception, and then you can call it whatever that you want. Over here I just write SE. If you want to call it as exception, that is fine as well. Right? So this is just the name of your variable. Okay. And then you have your try, catch, and then you have your finally. Right? And then because over here, you have your throw new exception. So when you throw exception in your header, you need to specify that in this method, you are going to throw an exception, right? So in your method header, you have to write throws exception. Inside your method, if you are throwing an exception back to the method that is calling it, you would use throw. So don't get confused with this one. In the header, it's throws with the S. Inside of it, just throw without the S. So inside this method, it just throws the exception, and then this main method needs to catch it. So that's why it's catch the exception. Okay. So you can try and run the code and then try and see what happens if you write throws as throw, or if you change this one throw over here as throws. And then what happens if you don't write throws exception, and so on. Right? So just try different things to make sure that you really understand why you need to write this one, why you need to write this one, why you need to write this one. Okay. That is number 5. So moving on to number 6. Okay, so number 6 is just straightforward. So you can just check this one from your notes as well. So the first one, it asks, what is an unchecked exception? Give one example of it. So unchecked, you are not checking it at compile time, and you don't actually have to handle it. If you want to handle it, that's fine. Example of unchecked exception, so you have arithmetic exception. For example, over here where user tries to divide by 0. Right? Because say that you ask the user to enter a number, you don't actually check what number the user enter. Right? So if the user enters 0, if you try to divide it, then you will get arithmetic exception. Right? But if you want, you can always handle it. See that if the user enters 0, then you will print out some message, you cannot enter 0, something like that. Right? So this is for unchecked exception. For checked exception, so it is checked at compile time, so it must be handled. For example, file not found exception. So we haven't learned about file yet, but in the next topic, when you go through the video on file, then you can run some codes on it. You will see that you have to deal with this file exception. Say that you try to open a file or you want to write to a file, then you need to write maybe throws file, input output exception. So that it means that in your program, you know that that kind of exception might happen, and then you are dealing with it straight away. Okay, so that is B. C, it says state the rule that must be followed when a programmer uses a check exception in the code. Right, so if you have a check exception, you can use the try catch statement to handle the exception, or you can throw clause in the method header to declare the exception. Right? So that it means that you know that that kind of exception might happen. Right? So 2 ways of dealing with it. Okay, so moving on to number 7. So number 7, it says write the output of the execution of the following program. So you can try and run it. This one. So let's just go through just up until this part. Right. So we have this main method, and then we have this other method that is called just do it. Okay, so we have over here our limit equal to 10, and then it goes through this for loop. So for loop, it starts from I equal to 1. I would be less than equal to limit, which is 10, and then I plus plus. So the first one, just do it. It calls that method, and our I is currently equal to 1. So it goes to this method straight away. So 1 modulus 3 is not equal to 0. So it does not go through this if. So it straight away goes to our system.out.println and print out the value 1. Right? That is the first output. So it goes back into our for loop. So now I plus plus, our I becomes 2. It calls this method again. So go to this method. 2 modulus 3. 2 modulus 3 give you 1. So it does not go through whatever inside our if. It goes straight to our system.out.println. So it will print out the number 2. And then it returns back in our main method. So it goes through the for loop. Now our I becomes 3 because of our I plus plus. So 3, it calls this method. Go to this method. 3 modulus 3, it gives us 0. So this is true. So now it will throw new runtime exception. So when it throws new runtime exception, it passes it back to the method that calls this method. Right? So it goes back to this main method, and then main method needs to catch the exception straight away. Right? Throw new runtime exception, catch it, so it will print out not able to do it, which is the third output. Okay. And then I plus plus, so I becomes 4. It will go through this method again, and then 4 modulus 3, it gives us 1. It does not go through this if, so it will print out inside here 4. Right? And then you have to keep on going up until it reaches the limit 10. Right? So the output you should get is 1, 2, not able to do it, 4, 5, and then not able to do it, 7, 8, not able to do it, and then 10. Right? So this is the output that you should see. So when you run this code on your NetBeans, make sure that you understand how it works. Okay? Is it okay for number 7? Okay. So that is number 7. I'll move on to number 8. Okay. Is this the last one? Oh no. Okay, second last. Okay, so number 8, it says the code has several syntax error. Rewrite the whole code. So the first error is this one, right? So when you write it in the method header, it cannot be throw. It must be throws with the S. Right? So when you rewrite it, you would write public static void fix it int I throws arithmetic exception. Right? So that is the correct one. So you have your try, finally, catch, and also catch over here. Right? So the arrangement, it should be try, and then catch, catch, and then finally should be the last one. Because as the name says, finally, final. Right? We have over here, we have throws, and then finally at the end. And then we have these two catch. We have catch exception E and also catch arithmetic exception E. Right? Exception E, this one, this is the general one. This arithmetic exception, this is the specific one. Right? So if you look at the Java API, you can see that exception, this is in the higher hierarchy. This is in the lower hierarchy. So the lower hierarchy, this one, it needs to come first before this one. So you would write catch arithmetic exception, then only you would write catch exception E. That means that if any error happens inside this try, if it's arithmetic exception, it will catch it and print out this one. And then it goes straight to finally. If you have exception first, well, you cannot compile it, it will give you an error. But just to understand the logic of it, if you have this one on top, let's just copy and paste. See that we have it this way. See that over here you have arithmetic exception. If you have arithmetic exception, because this is the general one, so it will always be catch over here. It will not check at arithmetic at all. Right? So that's why you need to have the correct arrangement. You should have the specific one first, then only you have the general one. For the specific one, you can have as many catch as you want. See that if this one, we have input mismatch exception. So if we have like arithmetic and also input mismatch, you can write arithmetic first, then only input mismatch, or you can write input mismatch first, then only arithmetic. It doesn't really matter because they are at the same level in the hierarchy. Okay? Does it make sense for that one? Or did I just make you more confused? Is it okay? Okay. So that is number 8. Okay, number 9. So it says, consider the following code segment. What is the use of throws keyword? So throws keyword, let's put everything in new page. So throws keyword, it will propagate the exception back to the caller of the method instead of catching it by using the try catch statement. Right? So when you have throws, you don't have to write try and catch inside of it. Because when you throw the exception, you are saying that whoever that calls this method, you need to deal with that exception. Right? So that's why when you have your throws exception, whoever that calls it, they might have to catch it. Right? So this one, to understand more about this one, you need to go through the examples in your lecture notes about the method A, method B, method C, and also method D. The one that I showed before. Say, content. This one. Right, because this one, it shows who is the catcher, who is the propagator. And this, in this example, it shows you how it passed back to the method that is calling it. Okay. All right, so that is about topic 5, exception handling. So do you have any question about exception handling? Does it make more sense now? Because I think that not everyone has submitted the answers for it. Let me stop sharing first. So let's see. Let me just see exception handling. For exception handling, only 21 have submitted. Some of you haven't submitted yet. Then that those who submitted earlier, I have graded those. Yeah, I need to grade 3 more. Okay, so any question for exception handling? No question? Okay, so if no question for that one, Let's go through activity 6. Activity 6. I think that many of you are confused with this one. Let me share again. This one. Okay, I can hide this one first. I think that the first few questions are straightforward. Okay. Right. Let's just go through the first 1, 2, 3. Yep. 1, 2, 3 should be straightforward. Let's just go through it quickly. Okay, so the first one, it says, given the following program, complete the code to create a JFrame object and set the title, set the size of the frame to 400, 300, and make the frame visible. Right. So you would write JFrame and then call it whatever you want, equal to, wait, you cannot call it whatever you want because this part is given, and then it says over here that you are calling your JFrame as frame. Right, so you have to call your JFrame as frame. Wait, let me zoom in a bit. Okay, so you have to write JFrame frame equal to new JFrame, and then you can set the title inside here as my frame. If you don't want to set the title straight away, you can always write in 2 lines. First one, you are creating an object of your frame. The second one, you are setting the title of it using set title method. So this is 2 lines of it, or you can always write it in 1 line and write that one straight away. Okay. Okay, and then it says set the size to 400, 300. So you would use the method set size, then you would set 400, 300, and then you need to make the frame visible. You need to set the visible to true. So that's it that you have to write for the first one. Okay. And then question A, it says, why does this program must import javax.swing package? Right. This part. We need to import it because we want to use JFrame. Otherwise, it will give us an error. So instead of writing import javax.swing and then dot asterisk, we can always write import javax.swing.jframe, meaning that we are specifying that we want to import only the JFrame class. Right? Okay. So B, state the name of the container class used in this program. So the container of it is JFrame. So make sure that you know the difference of what is the container and then what is the helper. Wait, let me just open the lecture notes. See GUI part 1. Just a minute. Okay, this one. Is this part, right? So container, example of container, you would have your JFrame, JPanel, and then whatever inside your container would be your component. Right, so it can be your JButton, JTextFill, JText area, and so on. And then anything that has to do with graphics or any colors or any fonts, that would be the helper classes. Right? So just to recap again about this part. Okay, so let's go back over here. Okay, so C, it asks what is the width and height of the frame. So when you write your 400, 300, the first one would be the width, the second one would be the height. So you would have width 400, height 300. Okay, next question is say what is the effect to the output if the frame visible statement is removed? Then you cannot see the frame. Frame is not visible. So if you don't have this one, if you try and compile it, can you compile it? Does it give you any error, or you can compile just fine? Have you tried it? What do you think happens when you don't have this line? Right, okay, yeah. So you can compile it, it's only that you cannot see the frame. Okay. So if you haven't tried it, try it and remove this line and then see what happens. Okay. Right, so that is first question. Okay, second one, it says complete the following program to create a frame as shown below. So this would be similar to the question before. So it asks you to import appropriate class. So you would import javax.swing.jframe, or you can just use asterisk, that's fine as well. Then same as before, you would create your frame. So jframe over here, oh yeah, you still need to call it as frame. Jframe frame equal to new jframe. And then if you look over here, the title of it is test frame. So you have to write test frame. So you can do it this way, or you can have two lines as I showed you before, where you use set title method. Right? And then you have to set the frame size. In the figure here, it says 500, 300. So this is the width, this is the height. So you write set size 500, 300, and then to make the frame visible, you would write set visible to true. Right? So that is straightforward. So number 3, similar to before as well. So it says fill in the blanks so that you can display a frame. So over here, you call your frame as FRM. That is still frame. You write JFrame and then you create new JFrame. And then when you have the size, the width, and also the height, so you would set size and then you would set the visible. Okay. So that is up until number 3. Okay. So those are pretty easy, right? As long as you understand how to create the JFrame, then you should be able to answer those questions. Okay, so this one, number 4 and number 5 would be the problem that you have, right? So number 5. Okay, so for number 4 and number 5, if you look at the past year exam questions, that would be at section B, where you have, I think, 20 marks for it. Well, we don't have any exams, but it's good that you try and do this one so that you know how to create the GUI and then how to use the set text, get text methods. Okay. Okay, so it says over here, let me close, wait, how do I close? Okay, so I'll reshare again. Okay, so what it says over here, we have this local satellite television company. It asks you to write a GUI application, and then it should calculate the customer's monthly bill. We have two types of customers, residential and also business. And then both customer can subscribe to any number of premium channel. Right, so this is the premium channel. And then the monthly billing amount is the total of basic service fee plus with the premium channel charge. Right, so 20 plus with 750 times with how many premium channel that user has. Okay. Right. So over here we have the UML diagram. So we have customer bill and company billing user interface. So this all of given. Okay, and then we have company billing user interface. We only need to write for display button action perform. What else does it say over here? Okay, so it says company billing user interface. It would create a customer bill object. It will require 4 input. So customer type, customer account number, number of service connections, and number of premium channels. So these inputs are taken on this interface, right? So when the user write the account number over here, the connection, the channel, and then the customer type. So these are the input that we get. We don't use scanner inside here. Okay. And then what else it says? We have calculate residential customer and then calculate business customer methods to calculate and return the bill amount. And then we have toString method that returns the bill information, which is displayed in company billing user interface. So this toString, it will display inside this text area, the output TA over here. So this is what being displayed based on the toString method. Okay, what else we have? Alright, so GUI together with the names of its GUI components are shown below. Okay, and then it says, based on the provided information above, answer of all of the following questions. Let me open two of this one, activity 6. So that we can refer to the question and also the answers. This one slightly smaller. Can you see it or is it too small? You can refer to your question sheet as well if you have printed it out. Did you try and create this GUI on NetBeans? Did you try it? Let me share. Okay. So this is customer billing user interface. So this is what I have created. And then remember that you have to rename, okay, for example, like this one. Let's zoom in. I cannot zoom in this one. For example, this one, this is the text field. And then I have renamed this text fields as account number TF. So if you rename it, that is the same as what in this question is, right? So you have this text field, you rename as account number TF, and then this one you rename as number of connection T, and then this one number of premium T, and then all this button you have renamed it. Okay, so that's what I did over here. I have renamed everything. Okay, so let's go straight away over here. This one, okay. So the first one, it says complete the definition of customer bill class. So customer bill class. Okay, customer bill. If we look at this UML diagram. So the first one, we need to add the constructor. So if we look at this UML diagram, the first one, it will take in the customer type and then the string account number and then the int number of connections and then int number of premium channels. Right. So the user will create an object of this one and then it pass in the values. So in your constructor, you will write straight away because these are given. So this one, it refers to this variables over here, our instance variable. So this means that in your UML diagram, if it is being written on the UML diagram, this variables, it belongs to the class, right? So it's global variable or instance variable. That's why it is being written right after you have written public class customer bill. Right? So constructor, so we just say that this dot customer type, so that refers to that one, equal to cast type. So this cast type, it refers to whatever the user input. Right? So you do the same thing for account number, number of connections, and also number of premium channels. Right? So that is straight away for the constructor. Is it okay for that one? Or do you have any question for this part? That should be fine, right? So move on to the next one. It says we have to write the method for calculate residential customer. So calculate residential customer, it does not really explain how to calculate it, but it just says over here that calculate it basic service fee plus the premium channel. That one. So you can have a variable, a local variable, or if you don't want to have local variable, then you can write this one straight away inside your return. Right, just two ways of doing it. Okay, so this is for residential. Residential, the basic service fee is 20 ringgit. So you write 20 plus with premium is 750. So you write 750. So 750 is per channel. You don't know how many channels, how many premium channels that residential customer has. Right? So you would times it with number of premium channels, where this number of premium channels, it refers back over here. Right? So even though this is private, you have said that in your customer bill, this number of premium channels equal to number of premium channels, and this can still access the private because it's in the same class. If it's in a different class, then it cannot access anything that is private. Over here, it can access it because it's in the same class. Right? So you can write the name of it straight away, or if you want to write this dot num of prim channels, that is fine as well. It doesn't really matter. Right? If you have this, it will not give you any error. If you don't have it as well, it will still give you the same result. Okay. So because your calculate residential customer, it is type double. We look at over here, right? Double. So that's why you need to return whatever the charge value is. Okay. And then you would do the same thing for your calculate business customer. So for calculate business customer, let's go back over here. It says over here 75 ringgit for the first 10 connections. And then after 10 connections, it will be 10. Another 10. And for, yep, okay. And then for the premium, 20 ringgit per channel for any number of connections, right? So you would need to have your if else. So if the number of connections is less or equal to 10, then you would calculate by 75 plus with 20 times with number of premium channels. If the number of connections is larger than 10, then you can calculate it by 75 plus with total number of connections, whichever that is larger than 10, and then times it with 10, right? Because when you have more than 10, the additional is 10 ringgit. Right? So this is for the additional. This is for the basic. And then you would plus with the premium channel charge, which is 20 times with the number of premium channels. Okay, and then you return the charge. Okay, so is it okay for calculate business customer and also calculate residential customer? Okay, so those are given. Okay, and then the next thing that we need to do, it says complete the following display button action perform. Action perform, let's see what is given over here. Perform, okay, yeah, it just give you private void display button action perform, and then you need to write your codes. Okay, so just go back. I think this one, we need to refer to this one. Okay. So, okay, let's look at, okay, so let's look at account number TF. So over here, I have this variables. Well, this one, it should be local variable. You don't have to have it if you don't want it. You can just key in the value straight away inside your customer bill when you create the object. But just to show step by step, let me just want to show everything in one page. Okay, this one. Let's look at this one first. Right. So I want to get this account number text field, whatever that the user input over there. So I would write account number tf.getText so that I will get whatever the user input. Right? So you have to use the getText method. And then whatever the user input over here, I keep it inside my local variable called account number. Right? So this local variable, you can call it whatever you want. Okay? And then the next one, I want to get whatever the user input for number of premium connection. This is number of connection T, the first one first. We call it as num_conti. So this is getting from whatever the user input. So remember that when you have this GUI, everything that the user input, everything will be of type string. But if we look back at our UML diagram over here, the number of connection, it should be of type int. The number of premium channels should also be type int. But when we take the value from this GUI, it will be type string. If you just write this part, that is a string. So to change that string into an int, we would write integer.parseInt. So we are changing this string into an integer. And then whatever that value is, I keep it inside my local variable that is called number of connections. And my number of connections is type int. Okay. So you would do the same for number of premium channels as well. So you have the string, and then you change it into integer using integer.parseInt. Okay. And then we have this radio button for the customer type. So for the customer type, you would use the if else because you have two options. Okay, so when you have the two options, you would use if selected. Oh wait, you have audio. Other people, can you hear me? Or is it lagging? Okay, so for those who cannot hear me well, I will upload this WebEx session on your online learning. Well, I will not upload it this week, maybe next week, so that you can try and finish up and do this one. Right, then you can check the answers. Okay, so I'll just continue from this one. Okay, so you would use the method called isSelected. So you see that if resident radio button is selected, because we name this first one as resident radio button, the second one as business radio button. If the first one is selected, then you would get the text of it. This text that you get is the text that you have over here. So the first text is residential, the second one is business. Those are the texts when you go through this get text. Okay. So if the first one is selected, you would save into your account type, which is the local variable, your resident radio button value, which is residential. Otherwise, you will save inside your local variable account type, the second one, which is business. Okay. Is it clear for this one? For getting the text and then change from string to integer. Can we use button group? I didn't try it, but you can try it out. I think it should work as well. It's only that it might be slightly different when you want to know which one is selected. So you can try button group. Any other question for this part? Okay, so one of your friends said that they tried using button group. So the code is a bit different. But I think that the main basic things is it will still use get text, and then it will still somehow use is selected. I haven't looked at your code yet, but I will look through it. But as long as it's radio button and then you have the get text, it should be quite similar. So there are many ways of doing it. This is just one of the way. Okay. So do you have any more question for this part? Using get text and also using integer.parseIn. That's fine, right? Okay. So see what else it says. It says, okay, now in your display button action perform, it will create a customer bill object, and then you would call the toString. Okay, create the object. So we have customer bill. You can call whatever you want. So over here, I see that I call it as C. Customer bill C equal new customer bill. So the input that it takes, the account type, account number, number of connections, and number of premium channels. Right? Okay. So it passes in those kind of things. And then what we want to do now is we want to display the billing information in the output text area over here. Text area. Just a minute. Set text to string. Calculate residential. Right now I want to see where does it calculate. I think I might be missing one thing over here, because what it does over here, it creates the object and then it passes in, and that's it, right? We did not call the calculate residential customer or calculate business customer. Let's see, where is the toString? toString. Oh yeah, it's being done inside the toString. So it's being done over here straight away. So you don't have to deal with which one did the user select on. Is it residential or is it business? Right. So that is being done in the toString, which is given to you. So after you have created the object, you just need to set in your text area, where is it? The output of it, right? So when you want to display everything in your text area, you would write your output TA, because that is what we call our text area, dot set text. We need to call the method set text. And then what we want it to display, we want to display whatever inside our toString method. So we write c.toString. So c.toString, it will print out everything here. Right? So is it okay for that one, or do you have any question? So I'll share, see, do I have my, right, so if I, oh wait, I cannot run it that way. So this is the same thing. So I need to go to the code, number of connections. So these are exactly the same thing as I showed you. If I run the file, does it appear yet? Oh wait, I need to share this one as well. Share. Let's have this one. Okay, now it appears. Alright, so account number, see that if I write, let's just follow the same one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 1. Number of connection, 1. Premium channels, 4. And then residential. So if I click on display bill, so it will display the same output. So currently, we only have done for display bill. Right? We haven't done anything for reset. Well, this one, I just wrote the code inside here. So if you want to set your reset, over here, so you need to go through your source code or from your design. You right click on it, events, action, action perform. Okay. And then in your reset, you want to reset to nothing, right? So you would use your set text to empty string, your number of connection, empty string, your set text, empty string. And then for your radio button, you can use this method called get set selected. And then you do it as false. So that's how you would reset it. And also I need to reset the output text area as well. Output ta dot set text. Nothing over there. Right. So if I try and run this one again, run file. Okay, it's not shown. Let me share this one. Share content. Okay. See that if I write something, right? Oh wait, I cannot write anything over there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number of 1. That's fine. 3. Display bill. Now when I click on reset, everything becomes empty again. So this is not part of the question, but in case you want to set the reset button to empty everything out. Okay. This is how you would do it. Okay, so let's go back over here. So that is for the first one. Do you want to try and do number 5 first? After that, we only have half an hour left, right? Will you try and do it first, or do you have any particular question for number 5? Because I do think that it's a bit lagging today, because when I ask question over here, it takes a few minutes before you answer it. Okay, so you can try it first. So maybe we can discuss it on Wednesday, right? So that to make sure that you really understand how to do it, because it should be straightforward. For number 5 is quite similar to number 4. You still have to use your get tags and then set tags, that kind of thing. Okay, so you can try it first. Right. So do you have any other question? Okay, so try and do it. So we still have half an hour. So I hope that you understood what I have been telling you how to do it. So wait, let me stop sharing first. This one. Okay, I want to share which one. So if you have submitted on the online learning, if you want to resubmit again, that's fine. But I will check your answers soon. Well, I'll try to check it before our class on Wednesday to see if there's anything that you did wrong or anything that you need to change. Okay. Any other question? So I'll open back the attendance. So you can scan over here even if you don't scan it, as long as you do all the activity. So if no question, then I will see you on Wednesday. Okay. All right. Thank you.